The massive alien ship descended through Earth's atmosphere with all the grace of a falling leaf. Its silver hull gleamed in the morning sun as it approached the designated landing zone in Geneva, Switzerland. Inside the United Nations complex, General Tom Wilson stood straight-backed, his trusty military dog Max sitting alert at his side. "Steady, boy," he whispered, resting his hand on the German shepherd's head. Max's ears remained forward, focused on the approaching vessel. The ship was bigger than anyone had expected, nearly the size of a football field. As it touched down, a soft hum filled the air, making Max's ears twitch. The assembled human delegation, consisting of military leaders, politicians, and scientists, waited with bated breath. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. 3 tall, blue-skinned aliens emerged, their long robes trailing behind them. They wore what appeared to be breathing masks, though the air had been tested and confirmed safe for their species. General Wilson recognized this as a sign of their superiority complex. They didn't trust primitive Earth air. The lead alien, who had introduced himself in earlier communications as High Commissioner, stepped forward. His silver eyes scanned the human delegation, pausing briefly on Max. "We welcome you to Earth," said the UN Secretary-General, stepping forward with open arms. The High Commissioner's translator device hummed. "We are pleased to finally meet the newest spacefaring race," he said, his tone suggesting anything but pleasure. "Though we find your technological development uneven, our scans show primitive combustion vehicles alongside quantum computers, most irregular." General Wilson felt Max tense slightly beside him. Following the dog's gaze, he noticed several small floating orbs emerging from the ship, security drones, according to their briefing. A small commotion arose from the crowd of journalists being held back by security. A young boy, probably someone's son, had slipped through the barrier and was running toward the aliens, waving excitedly. Everything happened in seconds. One of the security drones zoomed toward the boy, emitting a high-pitched warning tone. The alien guards reached for their weapons. The boy froze in terror. Before anyone could react, Max sprang into action. With incredible speed, he positioned himself between the boy and the drone. His powerful bark echoed across the landing zone as he stood protectively over the child, hackles raised. The aliens recoiled in shock. Their drones retreated immediately, and their guards drew weapons. "Stand down." General Wilson's voice boomed across the field. He stepped forward calmly, walked to Max, and with a simple hand gesture, had the dog return to his side. The boy's father rushed forward to collect his son. The High Commissioner's silver eyes had widened considerably. "You keep attack beasts at a diplomatic meeting." His translator crackled with indignation. "Max is a highly trained military working dog," General Wilson explained firmly. "He just protected a child from what he perceived as a threat. That's his job, protecting people. You weaponized another species." The second alien diplomat seemed both disgusted and fascinated. "No," Wilson replied, kneeling to scratch behind Max's ears. "Dogs and humans have been partners for thousands of years. They chose to work with us, to live with us, to protect us. Max here isn't a weapon. He's family." The aliens conferred among themselves in their clicking language. The atmosphere had shifted from diplomatic formality to tense uncertainty. "We will need to report this development to the Galactic Council," the High Commissioner announced. "The presence of controlled predator species was not in our briefing. This changes things." As the aliens retreated to their ship, making excuses about needing to consult with their superiors, General Wilson watched them go with a growing sense of unease. Max let out a low growl, and Wilson had learned long ago to trust his dog's instincts. "I don't like this either, boy," he muttered, watching the ship power up its engines. "Something tells me they're not seeing the whole picture here." The massive ship rose into the sky, leaving behind a confused human delegation and one very alert German shepherd. As it disappeared into the clouds, Wilson couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much bigger. And Max, still watching the sky, seemed to agree. 2 months after the failed diplomatic meeting, the Galactic Council gathered in their grand orbital chamber above their homeworld. Thousands of alien representatives sat in floating pods, all facing the central platform where the High Commissioner stood. "The humans are a threat," he declared, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "They have enslaved another species and turned them into weapons. Our reports show these creatures, these dogs, are everywhere on their planet." Holograms appeared, showing various dogs: police dogs patrolling streets, rescue dogs searching through rubble, guard dogs protecting facilities, and family pets playing in parks. "Look at how they've militarized these beasts." The High Commissioner pointed to footage of military dogs training with soldiers. "We cannot allow such a dangerous species to join the galactic community." The Council voted overwhelmingly to act against Earth. Their military analysts predicted an easy victory. After all, how could a single planet resist the combined might of 1,000 advanced civilizations? They were wrong. The first attack came at dawn. Alien ships appeared over major cities, expecting to cause panic. Instead, they found themselves facing an organized response. Years of disaster preparedness and action movies had, ironically, prepared humanity for this moment. In New York, when alien dropships landed in Central Park, they expected to find fleeing civilians. Instead, they met Captain Bill Parker and his K-9 unit. "All handlers, release on my mark." Parker whispered into his radio, watching the aliens deploy their security drones. The same drones that had caused the diplomatic incident months ago. 3, 2, 1, release. 20 highly trained military dogs burst from their hidden positions. The alien drones, programmed to detect humanoid heat signatures, never saw them coming. Belgian Malinois and German Shepherds leaped impossible heights, bringing down drones with precision strikes. The aliens, in their advanced combat suits, found themselves surrounded by an enemy they couldn't track. Their sensors, designed to detect energy weapons and human vital signs, struggled to lock onto the four-legged warriors racing through their ranks. "Command, this is Dropship 7. An alien sergeant reported frantically. "The humans are using some kind of biological weapon." "Arg." The transmission cut off as Rex, a massive Belgian Malinois, knocked the alien off his feet. Similar scenes played out across the globe. In London, search and rescue dogs helped evacuate civilians through underground tunnels. In Tokyo, police dogs guided people to safety while military units engaged the aliens. In Moscow, sled dogs helped move supplies through EMP-damaged areas where vehicles wouldn't work. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, reports flooded in. "Sir, our forces are facing unexpected resistance. The human-animal units are disrupting our drone networks. We've lost contact with 3 invasion groups." The High Commissioner slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. They're just primitive beasts." A junior analyst, braver than most, spoke up. "Sir, I've been studying Earth's history. Humans and dogs have fought together for thousands of years. They can read each other's body language, anticipate each other's moves. It's not master and slave. It's a partnership we've never seen before." On Earth, General Wilson stood in the Pentagon's command center, watching the battle feeds. Max sat alertly by his side, occasionally growling at the screens showing alien positions. "They thought our dogs were just weapons," Wilson said to his staff. "They never understood." A young lieutenant looked up from her computer. "Sir, reports coming in. The aliens are retreating from major cities. The K-9 units caught them completely off guard." Wilson nodded, reaching down to scratch Max behind the ears. "Dogs aren't our weapons," he said quietly. "They're our oldest friends, our loyal partners. And together, we're a lot stronger than any alien council expected." As alien ships scrambled to leave Earth's atmosphere, the Galactic Council faced an uncomfortable truth. They had severely underestimated humanity. But more importantly, they had failed to understand the unique bond between humans and their canine companions, a bond forged through thousands of years of trust, love, and partnership. And this was only the beginning. After their failed initial attacks on major cities, the Galactic Council decided to change tactics. They chose the American Midwest for their next invasion, believing the open farmland would give them an advantage. They couldn't have picked a worse location. Dawn broke over the Kansas plains as alien dropships descended through the clouds. Their commanders had chosen this spot carefully, far from major military bases, with wide open spaces where their advanced sensors would surely detect any human approach. But they hadn't counted on Mike Thompson, a local Army Reserve commander, and his specialized K-9 unit. "They still haven't figured it out," Mike whispered to Thunder, his black Labrador retriever. They lay hidden in a cornfield, accompanied by 30 soldiers and their dogs. Each dog wore newly developed protective gear, lightweight armor, and special boots to protect against alien weapons. The aliens set up their base quickly, their silver buildings rising from the ground like mushrooms after rain. Their security drones buzzed through the air, scanning for human heat signatures. "All units, check in," Mike whispered into his radio. One by one, the hidden teams reported ready. They had surrounded the alien base during the night, guided by their dogs who could move silently through the darkness. Now they waited. Thunder's ears suddenly perked up. He turned his head slightly to the west, and Mike smiled. Right on schedule, a group of human tanks appeared on the horizon, drawing the aliens' attention. "Predictable," Mike muttered. While the aliens focused their sensors and defenses toward the obvious threat, they ignored the real danger hiding in the cornfields and drainage ditches around them. "Execute plan, good boy," Mike commanded. 30 dogs burst into action, each moving in perfect sync with their human partner. The aliens' first warning was a series of sharp barks, followed by chaos. Thunder led the charge toward a group of alien security drones. The advanced machines, programmed to track human-sized targets, couldn't adjust quickly enough to the low, fast-moving shades. Dogs leaped incredible heights, bringing down drones with practiced efficiency. "What's happening?" An alien commander shouted in their clicking language. "Our sensors are showing nothing but scattered readings." The dogs had been trained to attack specific targets: communication arrays, sensor units, and power generators. Their natural agility and speed made them almost impossible for the aliens to track. In the confusion, human soldiers moved in. They had trained for months for this moment, learning to time their movements with their dogs' attacks. Where a dog took down a drone, a soldier followed with an EMP charge. Where a dog distracted an alien guard, a sniper found their target. Thunder and Mike moved through the chaos like dancers in a deadly ballet. The big lab could sense threats before they appeared, guiding his human partner safely through the battlefield. Together, they disabled a major command center, Thunder alerting to hidden aliens while Mike planted charges. "Sir," a young soldier's voice crackled over the radio. "Their defenses are down. The tanks are moving in." The alien base had fallen into complete chaos. Their sophisticated battle plans meant nothing in the face of an enemy they couldn't predict or properly detect. Some aliens fled to their ships, while others surrendered, staring in disbelief at the dogs that had brought down their advanced army. As the dust settled, Mike stood with Thunder at his side, watching the human tanks roll into the captured base. The dog's tail wagged as soldiers approached, proud of a job well done. "Command, this is Thompson," Mike reported. "Base secured. Minimal casualties on our side." The dogs. He reached down to ruffle Thunder's ears. The dogs were perfect. In orbit, the alien fleet received the news with shock. Their most advanced battle group, defeated by humans and their four-legged companions. They had expected to find primitive savages with crude biological weapons. Instead, they found an unshakable partnership between species that their advanced technology couldn't overcome. As the sun set over the Kansas plains, Thunder and the other dogs received well-deserved treats and praise. They didn't know they had just won a major victory in an interstellar war. They only knew they had done their jobs, protected their humans, and would do it all again tomorrow if needed. That's what made them so formidable. Inside a secret military research facility in Colorado, Dr. Amy Roberts watched as her team fitted a border collie named Scout with the latest version of their combat gear. The dog's armor was lighter than previous versions, with built-in sensors and communication equipment. "How's it feeling, Scout?" she asked. The dog wagged his tail, moving easily in the new gear. After the Battle of Kansas, the military had poured resources into developing better equipment for their canine units. Dr. Roberts' team worked around the clock, studying both alien technology and canine behavior to create the perfect combination. "The new sensor jamming collar is working perfectly," her assistant reported, checking readings on a tablet. "The aliens won't be able to get a lock on any dog wearing this." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Multiple alien ships detected. The base commander's voice boomed over the speakers. "This is not a drill. All personnel to battle stations." Dr. Roberts looked at Scout, who was already alert and focused. "Well, buddy, looks like we're going to test this gear sooner than we planned." The facility's doors sealed as alien ships appeared overhead. But this time, the humans were better prepared. Every security guard had a dog partner, and every dog wore the latest protective gear. Scout led Dr. Roberts through the facility to the command center. Along the way, they passed other dog teams taking up defensive positions. German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, Labradors, and even some mixed-breed rescue dogs that had proven themselves in training, all ready for action. "Status report," the base commander demanded as they entered the command center. "Sir, they're using new types of drones," an officer reported. "Smaller, faster than before. They're trying to find weak points in our defenses." The commander smiled. "Well, we have some new tricks too." Dr. Roberts. She stepped forward. "Every dog in this facility is wearing our latest tech. The aliens won't be able to track them, and the armor will protect them from energy weapons. But more importantly," she paused as Scout suddenly turned toward a wall, growling softly, "they can sense things our equipment can't." "Breach in Section C," someone shouted. "They're using some kind of phase technology to come through the walls." The commander grabbed his radio. "All K9 units, this is what we trained for. Hunt them down." Throughout the facility, dogs and their handlers moved with purpose. The aliens had expected their phase technology to give them the element of surprise. Instead, they found themselves being tracked by an enemy they couldn't hide from. Dogs could smell them even when they were out of phase with normal space. Scout and Dr. Roberts joined a defense team. The border collie's new armor gleamed as he moved, leading them straight to where aliens were trying to infiltrate. The sensor jamming collar created a field of electronic noise that confused alien targeting systems. "They're retreating." The announcement came after 30 minutes of intense fighting. The dogs, they totally disrupted their stealth technology. In the aftermath, Dr. Roberts walked through the facility, checking on the dogs and their gear. Not a single dog had been lost in the battle, though many of the alien drones lay destroyed. "The bond between human and dog," she explained to the commander later, "it's not just emotional, it's tactical. Dogs can read human body language better than any species we've ever met. They can anticipate our needs, warn us of dangers we can't detect, and act independently while still following the mission." Scout sat proudly at her side as she showed the commander the battle data. Every time the aliens come up with new technology, they forget one crucial thing. They're not just fighting humans. They're fighting thousands of years of partnership and trust. The commander nodded, watching as handlers and dogs helped clean up after the battle. Each pair moved in perfect sync, the dogs anticipating their humans' needs without commands. "Send this data to all our bases," he ordered. "Every military dog gets this new gear. The aliens want to play hide and seek. Well, they just found out who the real masters of that game are. Scout wagged his tail, as if agreeing. The aliens might have better technology, but they were learning a hard lesson. Never underestimate the power of a dog and human working together. The largest alien assault force ever assembled approached Earth's biggest military installation in Texas. 500 ships darkened the sky, carrying what the Galactic Council considered their ultimate weapon, a new stealth system they claimed was completely undetectable. Commander Jack Brooks stood in the base's control room, his loyal Rottweiler, Tank, by his side. The massive dog wore the latest version of Dr. Roberts' combat gear, now standard issue for all military dogs. "They think they've got us this time," Jack said, scratching Tank's ears. "Let's show them how wrong they are." The base looked nearly empty from above. The aliens had expected to see panic, evacuation, or at least some sign of defensive preparations. Instead, they found what appeared to be an abandoned facility. "Begin the attack," the alien fleet commander ordered. "Their sensors will never detect our new stealth units." Thousands of alien soldiers began their descent, using personal cloaking devices that bent light around them. Their footsteps made no sound, their weapons produced no heat signature, and their movements didn't disturb the air enough to trigger motion sensors. But they hadn't counted on Tank and his four-legged companions. The Rottweiler's head lifted, his nose twitching. Around the base, 300 other dogs did the same. Each one could smell the aliens, hear their breathing, sense their presence in ways no machine could match. "All units," Jack whispered into his radio. "The dogs have a lock. Execute Operation Ghostbuster." Tank led the charge, moving with surprising silence for such a large dog. The aliens never saw him coming. Their first warning was a deep growl, followed by 300 pounds of armored Rottweiler slamming into their supposedly invisible front line. Chaos erupted across the battlefield. The aliens' perfect formation shattered as dogs attacked from all directions. German shepherds leaped through the air, their armor deflecting energy weapons. Border collies herded confused aliens into ambush positions. Belgian Malinois moved like shadows, taking down command units. "Impossible," the alien commander shouted. "They can see us." "No," Jack replied over a captured communications channel. "They can smell you." Did you really think fancy light-bending technology would fool a dog's nose? The aliens tried to regroup, but every time they formed up, the dogs would find them. Tank led a group of larger breeds in attacking the aliens' heavy weapons, while smaller, faster dogs disrupted their communications. In orbit, the alien fleet watched in horror as their ground forces were systematically taken apart by an enemy they couldn't hide from. Their stealth technology, which had cost them billions to develop, was being defeated by simple biological sensors that had evolved over millions of years. "Sir," an alien officer reported, "the humans are broadcasting something across all channels." On every screen, videos began playing. Dogs pulling injured soldiers to safety. Dogs finding survivors in rubble after alien attacks. Dogs standing guard over fallen comrades. Dogs playing with children in bomb shelters, bringing comfort in dark times. "You see," Jack's voice came over the broadcast, "you never understood what dogs mean to us. They're not our weapons. They're our partners, our protectors, our friends. And today, they're Earth's defenders." The battle lasted less than 2 hours. When it ended, the aliens found themselves surrounded. Their stealth units had been completely neutralized, their forces scattered and demoralized. Tank sat proudly beside Jack as the alien commander surrendered. "How?" the alien asked, staring at the dogs in their advanced armor. "How did you know this would work?" Jack smiled, watching Tank accept a well-deserved treat from a soldier. "Because we didn't teach them to fight your technology. We just trusted the instincts they already had. Dogs have been protecting humans since before we built our first cities. Did you really think they'd stop now?" As the sun set over the Texas base, the largest alien fleet ever assembled retreated from Earth. They had come with their most advanced technology, their perfect plan, their unbeatable stealth systems, they had left defeated by an ancient partnership they had dismissed as primitive. Tank and the other dogs didn't care about the historic nature of their victory. They had done what dogs had always done, stood by their humans when needed, and that was more powerful than any technology in the galaxy. Deep within the Galactic Council's main research station, Professor Firstlight adjusted her viewing screen. As the Council's leading expert on emerging species, she had been tasked with understanding how a supposedly primitive planet had defeated their best forces. The answer, she realized, was sleeping at the feet of a human child in one of the thousands of videos she had collected. "Play historical record Earth 7843, she commanded. The screen showed ancient cave paintings of humans hunting alongside wolves. Now compare with current footage. Her computer displayed a split screen. The cave painting next to a modern military dog and handler training together. The similarities were striking. "Coordinator," she called her superior, "I need to address the full council immediately." "I understand now." An hour later, she stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. The same council that had voted for war now waited nervously for her explanation of their failures. "Honorable members," she began, "we made a terrible mistake. We saw dogs as weapons the humans had created. The truth is far more remarkable." She gestured, and images filled the chamber. Dogs and humans chose each other. The chamber filled with confused murmuring. "Observe," she continued. "Approximately 30,000 Earth years ago, some wolves began working with humans, not as servants or slaves, but as partners. Both species benefited. Humans got better hunting, protection, and companionship. Dogs got food, shelter, and companionship in return." She showed more images. Dogs guiding blind humans, dogs rescuing people from disasters, dogs comforting sick children in hospitals. "This isn't just a military partnership," she explained. "Dogs can read human emotions. They understand human gestures better than our most advanced AI. They can smell diseases, predict seizures, and sense danger before it happens." A high commissioner, who had first recommended war with Earth, shifted uncomfortably in his seat. And most importantly, Professor Firstlight continued, "They love humans, not because they're forced to, but because both species evolved to care for each other." She played a final video. It showed a small apartment in New York during one of the alien attacks. As buildings shook from orbital bombardment, a golden retriever lay across its family's children, protecting them from falling debris while providing comfort. "We cannot defeat Earth," she concluded, "because we're not fighting an army. We're fighting millions of years of evolution, thousands of years of partnership, and a bond our species has never achieved with any other life form." The council chamber erupted in discussion. Many members had already begun studying their own footage of Earth's dogs. Some were watching in amazement as dogs performed seemingly impossible tasks, finding survivors in rubble, detecting hidden explosives, guiding humans through dangerous situations. "There's more," Professor Firstlight added. "After each battle, human soldiers didn't just treat their wounded. They gave equal care to injured dogs. Some humans even risked their lives to save their dog partners." She showed medical records, state-of-the-art veterinary hospitals, dogs receiving advanced prosthetics, rehabilitation centers where injured dogs and handlers recovered together. "The humans have a saying," she said softly. "They call dogs man's best friend. We thought it was primitive sentiment. Now we understand it's one of the most advanced partnerships in the galaxy." The council voted immediately. The war had to end. But more than that, they needed to understand this remarkable relationship between species. As Professor Firstlight left the chamber, she passed the High Commissioner. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I saw their technology level and assumed they were primitive. I never considered that true advancement might look different from what we expected." She nodded, watching as council members continued to study footage of Earth's dogs. Some were already discussing sending peaceful observers to learn more about this unique partnership. Perhaps, she suggested, we should have paid more attention to the fact that humans achieved spaceflight not because they had to, but because their curiosity drove them to explore. The same trait that once led them to befriend wolves. The council had learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in technology or weapons, but in the bonds we forge with others. And on Earth, those bonds were stronger than anything they had ever encountered. 6 months after the war ended, the newly built Interspecies Peace Center in Geneva hosted an unusual gathering. Humans, dogs, and alien representatives came together for the first official peace ceremony. General Tom Wilson and Max, the German shepherd who had started it all at the first contact meeting, stood near the entrance. Max wore his formal military vest, decorated with medals for his service during the war. But more importantly, he wore his therapy dog certification, a symbol of the new direction Earth's relations with the galaxy were taking. "Ready for this, old friend?" Wilson asked, scratching Max's ears. The dog wagged his tail in response. Inside the Great Hall, alien diplomats watched in fascination as therapy dogs moved among the gathered representatives. Golden retrievers, Labradors, and even a few friendly pit bulls wearing Ambassador of Peace vests helped ease the tension in the room. The High Commissioner, who had once seen dogs as weapons, now found himself sitting beside a gentle Saint Bernard named Bear. The massive dog's calm presence helped steady his nerves as he prepared to sign the peace treaty. "Your people have taught us much," he said to Dr. Roberts, who now led Earth's Interspecies Relations Department. "We thought advancement meant bigger ships and better weapons. We never considered that true evolution might mean learning to form deeper bonds with other species." Dr. Roberts smiled, watching Scout, her border collie, demonstrate his training for a group of amazed alien scientists. The dog weaved through an obstacle course, following hand signals that showed the incredible level of communication possible between humans and dogs. "That's why we're here today," she replied. "Not just for peace, but for understanding." The peace treaty contained several groundbreaking provisions. Earth was granted special protected status in recognition of its unique human-dog partnership. A new galactic law banned any interference with developing species relationships similar to the human-dog bond. Most importantly, Earth would lead a new initiative to help other species learn from their experience. Commander Jack Brooks and Tank provided a demonstration for the gathered diplomats. The big Rottweiler, now famous across the galaxy for his role in the final battle, showed how dogs could work with humans in search and rescue operations. "The key," Brooks explained to the attentive audience, "isn't in training them to be weapons. It's about working together, trusting each other, and understanding each other's strengths." Alien tourists had already begun visiting Earth, specifically to see the legendary partnership in action. They watched in wonder as dogs helped police keep peace, assisted farmers with their work, guided the blind, comforted the sick, and played with children in parks. The ceremony reached its peak as the High Commissioner stood to sign the treaty. His hand trembled slightly, until Bear, the Saint Bernard, gently rested his head on the alien's knee. The gesture, so simple yet so powerful, brought tears to many eyes in the room. "To think," the High Commissioner said as he signed, "we almost destroyed something so beautiful because we couldn't understand it." As the treaty was completed, therapy dogs moved through the crowd, helping aliens and humans celebrate together. Max, who had started this journey by protecting a child, now helped alien children overcome their fear of Earth animals. Professor Firstlight, who had helped the Council understand Earth's special relationship with dogs, made an announcement that brought joy to the gathering. Several other worlds had discovered similar potential partnerships with their own planet species. Earth would help guide these developing relationships. "The galaxy is entering a new age," she declared, "one where advancement is measured not by our weapons or technology, but by our ability to form meaningful bonds with other species." As the celebration continued, General Wilson stood by a window, Max at his side. They watched as human children played with alien youngsters in the garden outside, several dogs happily joining in the games. "You know, Max, He said quietly, maybe this was the real victory. Not defeating them in battle, but showing them a better way. Max wagged his tail and leaned against his human's leg. He didn't understand galactic politics or peace treaties. He only knew that his family had grown bigger, and there were more people to protect and love. And in the end, that's what dogs had always done best, bringing out the better nature in those around them, no matter what planet they came from.